I mean, I feel like a lot of men, they are on this thinking or mindset like, if I don't step out on my wife with another person and physically have sex with that other person, then I didn't cheat.
Right.
There's something called emotional
Oh
cheating
my
for one.
goodness. Yeah, man.
And
Tell
it
them.
doesn't have to even be with the person that you see physically, right? It's engaging in lust, it's engaging in impurity in all sorts of formats, and that's a hard one for people to see, not even just see or believe, but more so to own up to and acknowledge, simply due to the fact that it's not so plain cut and simple,
Yeah.
right? Because it's the darker one. It's the
Yeah.
one that holds you down. Yeah, I'm not gonna go out and I mean, some people do, and like it happens, but a lot of people live under the thought or the impression that the pornography or
not
the
hurting
Instagram
anybody.
models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not.
Not
I'm not cheating
hurting
on my wife. It
anybody.
ain't
Right,
nothing.
right.
Like, no, it is something, and you got to take care of it. Like, it's not something that you should just let continue to grow. Because understand this: the more that you do it, the more that you involve in it, is gonna turn into something else.
sure.
It's just going to happen.
For
That's
sure.
a fact.
Hey, welcome to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm excited that you're here. And if you're listening for the first time or you're back for another great episode, thank you for joining us. I want to start by letting you know that your story and what you may be going through, they matter here. And you're not alone. So try not to worry about what chapter you're in, because if you trust God with your story, He's going to breathe life back into it. So sit back with the community that cares about you and hopes that you feel God's love as well as feel God's glory, or see God's glory in Men's Real Stories. All right, so before we get started, I want you guys to do me a quick favor, and I want you to click that thumbs up that's right below real quick. You'll be glad you did. And then if you haven't done this yet, just go ahead, and I just want you to hit the subscribe button. You know what? It's free of charge. It won't cost you anything. So just do me a favor, click it now. I'll wait on you. I'll give you a moment. All right. So now that's out the way. Thank you all for your support, and know that this podcast is nothing without you and all the men who God has put it on their hearts to say yes to joining me. And I appreciate those who have shown interest by filling out the Google Doc so that God can continue to lead us to our future guests. But today's special guest is no stranger to this podcast. He's been on here for my eighth episode. He was on here for my 35th episode. He was on here for my 45th episode. And now this episode is my return guest to update me on his life as things continue to change. And honestly, since our first sit down, which I'm sure has happened, I know has happened. And this is also special because it's Father's Day and it's my brother's birthday. So let's give a big happy birthday welcome to the episode, our brother, Kecion Jones. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Good. Much love. Excited to be here.
Check you out.
I was on here 3 times.
Yeah, dude. dude, you've been on here for 3 times. And honestly, if you count like some of our little side episodes and some of our little random run-ons that we have from all the blooper reels and all, I mean, you've probably been on here probably 4 times, if just because of some of the stuff I may not have released. But no, I'm glad to have you again, man.
I'm glad to be here. It's my favorite thing in the world. So
now is it? Or are you just saying that?
No, genuinely, I mean that.
Okay,
just communication. It's just
conversation. I can see that. I can see that for sure. For those who this is their first time ever seeing you on an episode or listening to one of your episodes, shame on you. But do you share a little bit about yourself, especially as of currently?
Yeah. Well, my name is Kecion, but everybody calls me Key for short. That's been my nickname since high school. Recently, I was one of the youth directors at Elevation Church for the Blakeney campus. So go Blakeney Youth. And then recently, me and my recently, because we're newly married.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you can't skip over that. Like,
me and my wife, we just recently got married a few weeks ago. We decided, through the word of the Lord and just being obedient, that we're going to move to Austin, Texas, to help and support a church in Austin, Texas, with the Wilson family, House of Light. So excited for all the things. There's a lot of big things happening since we last talked. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But it's a lot of crazy things that's happening.
Dude, wait, you're moving to Texas?
Yeah.
I was joking. I just thought it's too fun. Just to be like, wait a minute, like I just found out now. No, that's big, man. I mean, honestly, I think that, you know, you've had so much happening in your life that it's unreal. Like, I mean, just yesterday, not literally yesterday, but just it feels like just yesterday you got married. And now you're moving. I'm thinking about back to like our first episode where, like, I'm trying to remember the title of it, and it's the cover of it sitting on my mind. But I'm thinking about like even one of the moments where you were like, you know, I used to kind of want to know like what God was doing so that I could like see if like I could get down with that. Like, God, if you kind of give me like a hint, or just kind of like open up, just crack the door so I can look in there and just make sure that, I think I might want to do that before I move forward. And now, like, here you are, like you done kicked in the marriage door, you done kicked in the moving away door. I mean, like into the heat.
Well, yeah.
The heat.
That Texas heat.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas, you know?
Yeah, the sun's bigger in Texas.
No, absolutely.
Let's start with the sun is bigger in Texas. Yeah. It's a lot bigger. It's closer too.
It's gonna be cooking out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's make up for it. God's got us.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, he does. I mean, he brought you to another birthday, and I think we can't overlook that. That like you're a married man now who's got a plan, who's moving to see what God is going to do in your life next, and you're stepping into a new birth year of 22 with all the changes, with everything that's happening in your life right now and everything that you've seen here. What are your expectations that I'm sure you're holding kind of loosely? But what are your expectations? What are your thoughts of just this big move and this new, you know, period of your life?
Genuinely, I think it's just starting life. You know, I mean, I've been living 22 years for sure, but you know, a new marriage, you know, that comes with a whole lot of things, but that's for the rest of my life. You know, and being in Texas, I could be there for a year, 2 years, or I could be there for the rest of my life. Like anywhere in between, I'm, you know, always staying obedient to God where He's leading us. But like my expectation going down there is literally just to start life, to start living, to like really build something, build a legacy for my family, you know, that goes beyond anything.
Yeah.
Anything that, you know, I could have ever even imagined. And that's really what I'm looking to start is that legacy. What is the Jones legacy? Because for so many years, I think I've been running away from the legacy that was I could have potentially walked in, that was handed down from my father. You know, shout out Father's Day.
Oh my goodness, we're don't worry, we're totally gonna tap on all
tap
that.
on that.
Yeah.
But no, 100% just being able to build a family. You know, to start that legacy. And you know, it's a new city. I've never been to the state of Texas, so that's a new start for me. But it's something that like I'm excited and expectant for God to just do some like pretty incredible things that like I could have never dreamed up, you know, or dreamt up or anything of that nature. It's just like God's just gonna do wild things, and I'm just gonna be there just to experience it.
I love that. I love that. I think walking into anything knowing that God is going to do some incredible things, it takes away or begins to like almost fade away the worries of like, but what about what I gotta do, like what I gotta provide, or what I gotta put together, or what I have to make sure is prepared. It's just like, God, I pray that you, wow, this just came to me, you prepare the way for what you're about to walk me in, the same way John prepared the way for your son.
Yeah.
That's deep, because I think when you know that He is preparing you, He's prepared you, He's already working in next month on your behalf. It just it takes away a lot of the like, God, I sure hope that like this looks good, because it's gonna be hot if I ain't got nowhere to find some cool air in Texas. Like,
yeah. I think a lot of people spend a lot of time trying not to believe things, and I'm like, I'm not saying you got to believe everything, but especially for me and the way that I live my life, I'm like, you know what? I've seen God. I've seen you move. I know that you have done incredible things, unimaginable things. Why would I not believe it? Why am I going to spend time trying to talk myself out of it, or spending a lot of time doubting you when I've already seen you do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like if I watched you do a backflip right now in this room, and then the next day you told me, he's like, you know what? I could do a backflip. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if you could do a backflip. It wouldn't make any sense because I literally watched you do a backflip the day before. And I think doing that and seeing God do something and then continuing to struggle to believe that he can do it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We all go through it. But you really got to take a look at that and say, like, well, what is in the root of this? Why is it that I don't believe after I've seen it? And that's just not something that, like, I continue to struggle with anymore. I'm just like, if I see God do it, then you know what? Yeah, I'm going to believe it. I'm going to believe and put all my hope and dreams and prayers in it.
For sure. So what's it like knowing that you're not going, like you're now taking a wife? You're not moving solo to a place. You're taking a wife with you. Yeah. What's that like? What's and I know you just got married. But like what's
just been enjoying worship with my wife, you know?
Yeah. That's so fun. What?
Just
covenant. I mean, but no, he's right though. No, I mean, that's literally what it is. No, yeah.
Hey, listen.
No, absolutely. That's the beauty of this show. I love. I just been enjoying worship.
The only reason I say it that way is because when you step into a life of covenant, it'll change your life. There is a reason that God designed marriage to be the way that it is.
Facts. Oh man, okay, so I will 100% agree with you. Yes. But you know, I agree with you coming from the side of doing it the opposite way and realizing that, like, wow, God, and I heard this, but it wasn't until I started living it that I realized that, like, I was always looking for like marriage to like make me happy, man. I'm excited about being with somebody that's gonna make me happy, that's going to know what I need and like meet those needs, and then to realize that God never put my wife in my life to make me happy. Now I know a lot of people sitting on that like, well, then what the heck did he put her in your life for? Like, wait a minute, that's what and fully believe this, and I live this out every day, that God continues to make me holy through my marriage, that is going to constantly challenge me, but more importantly, continue to turn me back, or as Tim Ross likes to say, hold up a mirror to me, to who I am, how I'm looking, and what I'm showcasing. Right. Sometimes when I don't see it myself in the mirror I'm looking in. And I think that's the beauty of marriage, in that it's less about making you happy, but it's more about making you holy, and more about growing you into the person that God created you to be through your helpmate. 100%. And bro,
it's two becoming one, right?
Yeah.
You're not two becoming one in a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. You're just not. You're not two becoming one in a dating relationship. You're just two people. But whenever you step into covenant, that's two people coming together as one.
Yeah.
One body.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I've heard somebody describe it like this. It's like two clay pots, smashing them together, and then whatever you got to do, the process, make clay pots, and then remolding it back together. You know, that, first of all, that's not an easy thing to do, right? But at the same time, you got to understand it's one of those things that you're taking two things that are separate, and now you're molding and mending it together to be one, and you're not going to receive the fullness of that unless you're in covenant, unless you're in marriage. And so many people these days are scared of marriage.
Wow. Look, I'm sitting here and I'm like, that's That's good. Yeah. Like literally, like I'm imagining like the clay pots being dropped together and literally somebody taking them and like making like one with them. Like that's pretty crazy, bro. Like I wow, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, but the difference is, right, even with the clay pot analogy, right, is in dating relationships when you're not married, yeah, you are two clay pots. And yes, you will break because you're trying to come together. The only thing that you're not going to be able to do in the right way, you can do it, and that's what we call soul ties. You can do it. You can try to mend yourself.
Speak that.
Yeah, you can try to become one, but understand that you're not going to become one that God had designed. The one that God had designed, the mending that God had designed with his blessing on it. We're talking about you trying to mend with, I mean, let's just keep it real, your brother and sister in Christ. You know what I mean? Like, and I only say it that way is because when you find that one person, yeah, I'm not saying you got to marry them that particular day or, you know, don't wait or whatever. I'm like, yo, you find that one person and don't end up getting in a cycle where you're just in a dating relationship and you want to live together and you all that kind of stuff. Like, get married.
Yeah.
Step in the covenant.
No. Well, you know, and the same applies for non-believers. I mean, like it now, of course, I like to always say this when it comes to non-believers, a lot of what we're saying, it doesn't apply to you actually decide to follow Christ.
For sure.
So, you know, I think I was watching something recently and a guy was like, you know, why is it that my life seems to be lukewarm when it comes to my desire to follow Christ according to others? I was like, ooh, that's deep. I mean, like that's because to him, it was offensive. He felt some type of way about the fact that somebody considered his life to be lukewarm. And I think a lot of times when we feel some type of way about something someone says, either we're allowing somebody that doesn't really know us to speak over us and say something about us when they don't really know us, right, or they know us and it's bothering us because there may be some truth to it. And and I think that's the hard part to swallow, right? Like I'm like that there might be some truth to that. And I think it's less about what you're doing because none of us are perfect. None of us are going to hit the mark. None of us are going to be like hit the mark every day. I don't believe there's a day I don't mess up or I don't look at something and be like, man, I could have shown up better there. Sure. But I think it's about not making that mess up a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You know, it's saying, okay, that's not going to become a part of my identity. Like I'm not going to continue to do that same thing and expect my life to continue to be a reflection of him. Yeah.
I mean, that just is what separates us from what I say, like as believers, like imperfection and like being a sinner. Sin is existent. That's just what it is. Like there will never be a day that I will be perfect and I will not sin. And I'm not saying that in like, I'm talking about in any kind of terms. Like lying is a sin.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about murder. I'm not just talking about pornography. I'm not just talking about fornication. Like we look at these sin as like these big pillars and like these deepest, darkest things. And I'm like, no, like even telling this little white lie, it's a sin.
I'll even go as far as saying gossip is a sin. And some people just overlook that one. Like, oh, and that got a lot of people right now. Like, oh.
That's conviction, yo.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. And it comes through people sometimes. Don't look at your conviction. Sometimes there are people who love you and are telling you like, hey, look, you know, I love you. And so I'm telling you this from a space of love and not condemnation that, you know, I notice you constantly like struggle with this and you're trying to be more like Christ. But sometimes we fall short in these areas where it's like, I saw her or him and we just started talking about him like because, you know, and we call it a prayer party. You know, oh yeah, let's pray for them after we talk about them, okay? Like,
Rob coming for some people. I just want
I'm not.
He's talking about somebody specific.
Bro, this is not specific to anybody.
Listen, if it's
he
you, God might be speaking through him to you. I don't know. But no, seriously, like, you know, we look at it like sin in these big pillars, but you know, we mess up and things happen. But the difference in like I said, being just imperfect, just in nature, will never be perfect, and being a sinner is that style or that aspect of lifestyle. Is this something that you made a mistake with? Is something that you may be like struggling with a little bit, or is it something that you're actively choosing to have a part of your life every day?
Yeah,
that is a lifestyle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like for a long time, my whole thing was Key Goofy. That was me. That was you looked me up on Instagram. That was the whole stick. Even when I was in school, Key Goofy, that was my brand. Like, you know, and the way that came about is one day I think I was taking one of those like personality tests on like the teacher gave us like, what is one word you would use to describe yourself? I was like, you know, I'm pretty silly, I guess. I'm pretty goofy. That was that. I was like, all right, you know, put Key Goofy, that's that. And that became my identity. So in the way that I lived my life, that was me. That was my lifestyle. And the way that I talked, and the way that I walked, and the way that I did everything, it was in the vein of Key Goofy. And then this analogy that I'm using with that is basically like when you choose to actively allow things to be a part of your life that you live out every single day, that is a lifestyle.
Sheesh.
That is who you are. Right?
Wow.
Now, who we are in Christ, 100%, like that's what we strive to see, because things that are attaching to this identity that we may have outside of him, like, yeah, 100%, like it's hard, and we should seek to see who we are in him. But I'm like, the lifestyle, like what we choose to do every day, where we choose to spend our time, where we choose to even put our eyes to or put our ears to. Yeah, we got to be careful about that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what separates you from a life that's imperfect. Like, as believers, we're imperfect.
Yeah.
Or if you're just
like a lukewarm.
Just there.
Yeah,
you're lukewarm.
Just
like,
feeling very lukewarm. Like I think I see how hard it is to choose a side in a world where we are constantly getting, let's just say you wake up in the morning and you're in the Bible app. Then you flip over to what next? Instagram. And in most cases, Instagram is now telling you, oh, well, yeah, and that's cool. I mean, like, I want you to do the righteous thing, but like you can do a little bit of this too. Like, you know, God's not mad if you, you know, maybe smoke a little bit before you get in the word, you know, as long as you get in the word, right? Like there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not saying that smoking is bad. I'm simply saying that maybe you felt convicted to be like, this is not how I want you to start your day with me. All right. Well, well, why didn't you tell John? Yeah. Well, I'm not in communication. I'm not in relationship with John. I'm in relationship with you.
Right.
See, John hasn't chosen a relationship with me yet. So in my conversation, in my relationship with you, I want you to come to me, and I want to have a relationship with you with a clear head. Oh shoot. Okay. So that's conviction. Like that's, I've had convictions like that where I'm like, man, okay. All right, like because I'm learning, I've learned that God is specific when it comes to the aspects of our relationship, just as specific as he is we are when we come to him with things.
For sure.
And a lot of times we're like, all right, well, God, like, I want it to look like this, and I'd like it to show up like this, and I want it to like, and God's like, okay, well, according to my will, if it lines up with my will, then for sure, I can make that happen for you. But know that the same way you're specific, I got some things that I want to be specific about when it comes to our relationship. Sure. How you show up and present yourself, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fine tune you into being a replica of me. I want you to showcase me. I want your fruit to be righteous. I want people to see me when they see you. And so I'm going to make sure that even your desires, when they align with mine, I say that because I think that we miss that little point of align with God's when we think of desires. But like when they align with mine, right, know that people are even going to be wondering like, wow, how did you how did you get and know that it is a blessing for me to turn around and showcase those blessings and let others know that God has something for you too. And it may not look like mine. It may not be you being this successful, whatever, but like God is still working to do a thing in your life, but he's going to be specific, just as specific as we are in our relationships and as we continue to seek him. So no, I think that's rich, man. I think that really speaks to like just the relationship you want. I think we're all specific. Were you specific about like what you wanted out of your relationship with your wife?
Yeah, a little bit, my whole thing with God, at least over the last several years, was I always believed that there was one person. That there was one person out there that God had set out for me out of the, where we at? 9? I don't know, 7, 8, something billion people in the world. I don't know where we at.
Wait, what are we talking about right now? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know what he's talking.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I was just making sure that like you weren't talking about people. I'm like,
no.
You're talking about all the people in the world.
Talking about all the people in the world.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm following you now. I'm like, bro.
I'm no sinner. Stop. But I'm saying like out of them billions of people in the world, I just believe that there was one person that God had for me.
Yeah.
And waiting for that one person. So even when I got into a dating relationship with my wife back in 2019, always in my mind constantly, I was just kind of like, is she the one person? Is this the one person? And then like I wanted to be married, but now I was like, what if she's not the one person? And then what do I do? Because I didn't do right or something like that. And I'm not going to lie. Like at one point, she really ate me up at one point. She just kind of was like, for her, she doesn't believe that. She doesn't believe that there's only one person that God had set out for her. And that it really is a choice. It's like, hey, if God is centered in this relationship and I choose to love you and I choose to be with you, then yeah, you're my person. You are the right person. And that kind of shifted my mind because I was like, you know what? Instead of me waiting for the right or the one person, let me look at who I'm with right now. Let me make sure like, hey, this is a God-centered relationship that we're both chasing after Jesus. And that is the important priorities in our life. Then yes. And then she checks all these other boxes. Then yes, this is the best person, the right person, the greatest person for me. Simply based off of those things. Simply based off of the fact that she chases Jesus. Simply the fact that she reads her word as the word of God, not just as a book, but as this is the living, breathing word of God, and she believes in it. Simply because she is saved. Simply because she is head over heels for Jesus Christ. I'm like, all that right there alone makes her the right person for me.
Yeah, because y'all both have that in common. I mean, y'all are both chasing after him.
Yes.
And the more you chase after him, as we like to say in our home, if we're both chasing after him, then we're getting closer to each other. Because I always look at it as the triangle diagram. I don't know who shared that with me, but that was just so like revealing, like just so like, wow.
Just like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. And so I truly believe that I don't even believe it, bro. I've seen it. Like I've witnessed it. I've been married long enough to watch it. I've been married long enough to watch me and my wife literally go from being at the top of the triangle, at the point where we started, thinking that we had like already like this is we've got to the finish line and we're at the top of the triangle, and slowly we've started going down in the opposite direction. She was going down her line, I was going down my line, and we became further and further apart as we moved down the triangle. It wasn't until we literally hit the bottom of that triangle. This is my first time ever explaining it this way, but I can't unsee it now. Yeah. And literally we hit the bottom of the triangle. And when we put God at the top for both of us, not just her saying, okay, well, I want God in my life, so I'm going to start moving towards him. But when we both put him as what we were both seeking in our lives before we even begin to seek each other again.
For sure.
As we fell into our own place and started to feel like, okay, well, we've become so far apart that I don't even know if we're supposed to be together. But as we begin to go back and seek him, it brought us closer together in a relationship that honestly, if I had bet all my money on it, I thought it was over with. And so I recognize that for many people, like they end up just like us, top of the triangle,
For sure.
together, happy. This person's gonna make. It's just I found the person that's gonna make my life happy. It's my joy. And then slowly they start to move down that triangle, and as time goes on, they start to say things like, "Oh, well, maybe we're just falling out of love. Maybe we just were never meant to be. Maybe." And eventually they hit the rock bottom of that bottom of that triangle, and it's just like, let's just call it quits.
For sure.
Instead of looking back up and saying, okay, God, if you brought me into this relationship and this is the person for me, then it's going to take you putting it back together as I grow closer to you. And that's exactly what I believe happens as we move back up that triangle towards him. And so that was good. Dang, that was good.
Right?
Like, where did that even come from? But you know what, though? It came from living it. It came from truly being my story. You know, I know a lot of people sometimes they see me out or they see me whether it be you may see me at church or whatever the case may be, and a lot of people notice that I don't have a wedding ring on. And they're like, okay, well, what happened to your wedding ring? Well, I will tell you, you know, my wedding ring, when I hit rock bottom, it cracked. It like, and I know I'm saying that like not literally cracked, but it was damaged. That was a broken ring. Because of the things that I had done to lose my wife's trust, the things that I had done to tear up my family and to sabotage my life. And it wasn't until I started moving towards him that he brought us back together in a relationship that like I just knew was over with. And so by the time this episode probably comes out, what are we in? By the time it finally comes out, you know, we will have gotten back to, we will rededicate our lives not only back, as we've already rededicated our lives back to him, but we rededicate our lives back to each other in a ceremony where I will get a ring that will represent what we've been through and what it took for us to get back together. Excited about that, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited about
it's
that.
Monumental, man. Like, you know, to do something like just going through marriage is hard, let alone relationships are hard. That's just a fact. And when you choose to do it with someone, right, that is the person that you are in it with and you're going through it with. And so for y'all, you know, in y'all's story, like, and like you said, like, it was only after you hit the rock bottom place and you chased after him. Now, a lot, and I feel like a lot of relationships, when they go through this, they get to this bottom part, they hit rock bottom, and instead of trying to chase him, they chase her, or they chase,
you know, so or
she may chase her husband, and not him, capital H. So what I'm saying is, you know, I'm not trying to seek this redemption in my wife or for a wife or for her husband, vice versa, whatever it is, trying to mend this together. Like, I'm trying to chase after you and I'm trying to rebuild this thing with you. But the more that you chase him, chase Jesus, chase God, naturally you're going to become more and more and more like him, seeking the character, the true character, because the actions that you have done, whether they be mistakes, whether they were one-time things or they're serial things, who you are in him, and as you grow closer to that, those things will fall off. Your flesh will fall off.
Right.
You're choosing spirit over flesh. And the more you do that, you will be more attractive to your wife or your husband, whoever it is, to look at you and say, you know what? I'm not trying to trust the old Rob.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trust the guy who hurt me and did these things. You know what? I'm learning to trust the person that I'm seeing every day. And if you're chasing Jesus every single day, then that's going to be a man, or, you know, vice versa,
for sure,
a person worth trusting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm not negating any kind of feelings.
Yeah.
It's a hard,
sure,
tough road process for sure. But that's the way to start and that's the way to go.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, if I'm going to try to win her over or win her back, it's not going to work. Because you want to know why? It's not going to work because I'm not changed.
I was just about to say, it's going to be very temporary. It's going to be like I think in relationships, and first of all, let's just throw this out there. I don't know who qualified us to be like
we sitting up here like we were
qualified us,
relationship experts.
let's for sure. But like, let's just go ahead and put it out there. He did. He
For sure,
did,
for
because
sure.
even in that analogy I just shared, I've never even seen it that way until just now, and I was like, wow, that was good, man. Okay, but I would truly say that you're right. I think that trying to hit that rock bottom of that triangle and then run across to chase after two people, they're
Yeah.
literally you're going to go. Notice that no part of that diagram was ever to come down to the bottom of the triangle and run across it.
For you to run
Because
across.
what you're going to run across, I can only imagine, if I was to like paint a picture, it would be so much brokenness that you're running. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm letting you know that you're cutting out a person who can do the impossible in a situation where you're expecting things to just heal themselves, fix themselves. And I don't believe that just running after God alone is the only thing you'll do on that run back towards him. I think that he'll run you through things like therapy. He'll run you through things like counseling, couples counseling. He'll run you through things like community that's going to continue to encourage you
sure.
and continue to build you up in who you are in his eyes outside of how you've been. So what that does is that starts to strip away parts of you that have been, this is just who I am, and this is just who I am is what keeps bringing you further and further away from who your mate wants you to be. I mean, like, it's so crazy how certain aspects of us, that it's just like, this is like, and you brought up one where you were talking about like how, like, earlier you were living out of like the identity of Key Goofy. Well, I've always been goofy, or I've always been like a jokester. I've always, yeah, but you notice how your jokes continue to have your wife sitting over there like, here he goes again.
Yeah.
You always gotta have a joke. I swear, I wish he would stop this already. Like, because I'm always the butt end of the jokes. I'm always the one that he picks on in the jokes, and so I have to sit here and smile and laugh with everybody else when I'm not enjoying that. So everything you said was so good, bro. And like I said, we're not qualified marriage coaches. I mean,
No,
how many years you got in?
I've only been married for 3 weeks, dog. So,
3 weeks.
You know what I mean?
And I've been faithfully married for, I would say since 2023. I've been faithfully married, since, yeah. And I'm talking about, when I say faithfully, I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, there have been a lot of things I put away. I mean, like, some men say, well, you know, I've never stepped out on my wife. Yeah, but I'm talking about even going as far as, like, I don't watch pornography anymore. There are a lot of things that just are not a part of my lifestyle anymore. And so faithfully, I choose to move that way because I recognize what my thorn is, and I am very aware of what will take me back down that triangle.
For sure.
I mean, it will start to pull me back down that triangle no matter how much I desire to run after Christ. So,
you gotta understand, like, when it comes to, like, that side of, you know, like, unfaithfulness and whatnot, like, I mean, I feel like a lot of men, they are on this thinking or mindset, like, if I don't step out on my wife with another person and physically have sex with that other person, then I didn't cheat.
Right.
There's something called emotional cheating for
goodness.
one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to even be with the person that you see physically, right? It's engaging in lust. It's engaging in impurity in all sorts of formats. And that's a hard one for people to see, not even just see or believe, but more so to own up to and acknowledge, simply due to the fact that it's not so plain cut and simple, right? Because it's the darker one. It's the one that holds you down. Yeah, I'm not going to go out and, I mean, some people do, and like, it happens, but a lot of people live under the thought or the impression that the pornography or the Instagram models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not, I'm not cheating on my wife. Ain't nothing. Like, no, it is something, and you got to take care of it. Like, it's not something that you should just let continue to grow, because understand this, the more that you do it, the more that you involve in it, is gonna turn into something else. For sure. It's just going to happen. That's a fact.
For sure.
You may think it starts out with Instagram and on the porn websites now, but hey, listen, bro, you take it several months from there, a year from then, you're consistently doing this, it's now a lifestyle. Yeah, that's gonna transform into something even bigger, and then you're gonna be sitting there, you done something that you never thought you would do or engage in or allow something in your life that you never thought you would. And now you're sitting there like, I don't know how this happened. Well, I'll tell you how it happened. You've been sitting there watching porn for a year straight. What do you think was going to happen? You're allowing women to talk to you however they want to talk to you, and with no regard to your wife. What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah, no, hey, bro, you spot on. I mean, you all in my business, old business. You was all in.
And the only reason is because I've gone through it myself.
Yeah,
I have, and I've only been married for 3 weeks. I'm not saying like I've done anything crazy in 3 weeks, but we've been together in a relationship, like dating for like 4 years, and just even growing up. And I'm 22 years old, so like, yeah, 100% I'm making mistakes and stuff like that. Not to use that as an excuse, but to use that as a way of like an understanding and acknowledgement. Like, you know what? Yeah, I've made mistakes, and they're pretty big ones too. But understand, I know how it burrows itself. I know how the enemy works.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty of this. I mean, like, think about it. This podcast is all about us not being vulnerable just because we get some type of cookie for it or something like that. No, it's being vulnerable because we recognize when we bring it out into the light that it doesn't hold power over us anymore. There's a lot of shame that we can hide, and we can say, well, you know, I don't want people to know that happened. I don't want people, and I get that. I totally get that. But I also understand that it's when we begin to say, this shame has held me captive for so long that I am scared to even go back and address old wounds, old patterns, old things that I've been doing, and bring it out into the light to even share with my brothers in Christ. Like I'm not saying you got to get on stage and share with the entire church or your entire church community or even your own neighborhood community. I'm just simply saying there's a power in bringing things to the light to your brothers to say, man, I'm tired of struggling with this, bro. This is taking too much of my life. So, no, man, that was good. I don't even know how we went down that silo, but man, I think that needed to be said.
No, and I even will say, like, if anyone is looking to not continue the battle or the struggle with pornography or with lust or impurities or anything like that, the biggest way that the enemy will keep you down in it is for you to lie to yourself. And the lie that you'll tell yourself is that I can do it by myself. I can handle it on my own. I got this.
So true.
Like, let me do this, let me do that. Okay, cool. Like, I got this, right? And the reason why I say that's a lie, because it's a lie that I've told myself for so long. Yeah. It's a lie that I told myself several years ago. I was introduced to pornography when I was 12 years old, meaning that what was that? 10 years ago. I struggled with pornography for 8 years. So from 12 to 20 years old, I struggled with pornography, right? Jeez. And the lie that I told myself all throughout that time was like, you got this, bro. Like you could do this. You don't need to say anything to anybody. Just work on it. Like, do this, do that. You're good. And time again, I would fail. And I would wonder why, until one day, I think I was having a conversation with people, or I heard a teaching, whatever it was, understood that there's no way that I can do it by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I have to bring someone else into it, whether it's a brother, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a pastor, whoever it is. I need to bring somebody else into it, because accountability brings change.
Yeah. Ooh, come on. Yeah, that was good.
If you want true change, you need to be held accountable.
Yeah. Well, you know, they actually even have organizations, and I know I'm a good friend of mine who's actually been on my podcast, with Proven Men Ministry. Yes. Yeah. Proven Men Ministries is truly a great resource for men who are listening right now and like, yo, bro, I feel like they speaking to me. I feel condemnation. Don't feel condemnation, brother. I feel convicted. You can feel that. But know that in the conviction, like you said, there's a level of accountability where you say, okay, I need things to change. Sure. I want things to change, but clearly I can't do it on my own.
For sure.
Cool. There are organizations, Proven Men is one of them, that you can be a part of. I don't know how many weeks it is. It's a couple week course, number of weeks course, where you just go through. I've had plenty of my brothers who have been through situations with me, have been down through there with me, have used resources like these, whether it be Proven Men or one of my good brothers was using a thing where he put some software on all of his devices, phone, laptop,
think this
and I was his accountability partner. Just
Covenant Eyes or something
yes,
like that.
yes,
Yep.
Covenant Eyes. Yep, and it held a level of accountability to say, brother, I need you to hold me accountable to what that program is going to report. I'm going to do my best to refrain from it. But knowing that you're going to be watching over, that helps me be more conscious to say, I'm not doing this.
No,
I'm not
absolutely.
doing this. But then, the beauty of it is that if it happened, when it happened, I'll never forget. There was a situation one time where he was like, bro, I fell victim to it, man. And it wasn't like I came down on him like, bro, what's wrong with you, man? Like, I thought you got this. Come on, man, tighten up. It was more like, bro, listen, I'm still proud of you. I'm proud of the journey you've gotten to just to even get as far as you got.
For sure.
But don't forget that you're still the righteousness of Christ.
100%.
You didn't fall back and Christ was like, I knew he wasn't going to be. No, bro, you're still the righteousness of Christ. So continue to walk in that. Continue to know that he didn't just say, I knew he was going to be no good. I knew he wasn't going to make it. No, he's like, come on, brother. Come on, son. You got this.
For sure.
I know you got this because you are a reflection of me. And even when you fall short, we're going to hop right back up and we're going to get back into the war of what we're fighting against, the battle of pornography on our lives, the battle of other things that have taken over our lives. And it may not be pornography. It may not be pornography for you. It may be something else, but I believe that it starts in community. I believe it starts with an accountable community that loves you, start with, that cares about you, and that wants to see you not only have a great relationship with your Father, your Heavenly Father, but also more importantly, a great relationship with yourself and how you treat yourself and how you step into life and what you continue to feed yourself or what you starve your flesh of. So I think that's so good. I think that's
real.
important.
And Covenant Eyes is
yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. Like it is not. I mean, honestly, it just might scare the hell out of you first. You might not be on something like, well, dang, man, I can't do anything because they're gonna send a report. But at some point, you'll realize you're like, you know what, this is for me. This is for the betterment of my life. And
for sure,
the last thing I'll say just on this topic, like one way that you're gonna fail in your journey is if you look at it you look for a purity streak. If you're like, you know what, I made it a month, 1 month down. All right, I made it 121 days, right? And you're counting the days that you've made it and that you've since you've last done something. And that's the one way that you're gonna mess up, only because it's a daily battle. It's a daily battle.
For sure.
For the rest of your life, you're going to have to actively choose not to do some of the things that you used to do. You're going to have to actively choose to see with pure eyes. And so when you live under the purity streak, let's just say I'm 211 days since I've last done something or since I've last watched a pornography video, you're just reminding yourself how many days away that you are from what you have done, when in reality, your focus and your mind should be on the day that you're living in.
Sheesh.
All it takes is one day to change it.
Bro, I never thought about it.
I don't care if
that.
it's not even just for pornography. You could be 5 years sober.
Yeah, no, I was literally thinking of like drinking.
Yes,
like even
5 years sober. You continue to remind yourself, you know what? I've made it 5 years. Now, don't get me wrong. Celebrate it. If you've made it 5 years sober, 100% make that mark in your life as a milestone. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing me this far for 5 years that I've been sober.
Yeah.
But do not live under the streak of sobriety, thinking that is helping you, when in reality, one day can change all of that. One moment can change all of that. So your focus needs to be on that day at hand every single day to say, you know what, today's a new day, and I'm actively choosing not to do what I've done the day before.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
That is what's going to bring true change.
That's good.
That's also what's going to keep you in a good mind space, so that you know that, hey, if you do ever to mess up, 100%, it's okay. 100%, you're going to feel that conviction, if you're living with Christ. But you can get back up the next day, because it says it says in Scripture that His mercies are made new every morning.
Every morning, yeah.
Every single morning, His mercies are made new. Wow. So it means I can wake up every single morning, and His mercy is made new that morning.
Yeah. No, I've never heard that said. That was good, and it's even got me thinking over here. Like, you're right. Every day, I know this, but every day I wake up knowing that I have to make the same choice I made yesterday, and yesterday's choice won't help me today. And so what I did yesterday, it doesn't get me a free pass today. It's like I have to actually do the same thing. I have to walk into it with the same mind that I'm going to refrain from this. I'm not going to touch this. And you know, and that doesn't mean the thoughts don't cross my mind. Like the thoughts, they definitely pop into my head in certain moments. And it's like, it's a matter of saying, no, I'm even when I'm feeling weak and I'm feeling like giving in, I know that's when I am strong. So I can say no to that. And trust me, it's weird sometimes when I'm sitting by myself and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm good.
You're not going to get me like that. Bro, try again another day. Not today. Because I recognize that I am fighting with the thought of like, you know, this will make you feel better right now. You know, if this will take your mind off that. The struggle, and trust me, the struggles, I think that's what really pushes us into it. The struggles of everything going on that I can't control. The kids are out of control right now. My wife's upset. The job's calling me. And it's like, I just need something just to give me a break for a second, man. I need to release. And that's when I start to think of things I've struggled with. Like, you know, it'll give you a break. But I know outside of how many days I've come, it's more about what I am looking forward to, not what I can look. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great to celebrate what I've come out of, but it's more about like, I'm not trying to keep stepping forward with that. That's not going to be my crutch anymore. So
I mean, you look back at the times that you may have done things that haven't been great or whatever, or if you struggle with stuff. The enemy works in vulnerability, whether it's vulnerability in comfort, vulnerability and stress or overwhelm, vulnerability and pain, right? Because even what I was saying with the purity or the sobriety streak and thinking that, I'm 7 months since I've done something like that, it puts you in a place where you're comfortable, right? To where you're not thinking about the everyday. And then once you're in that place of comfortability, you're like, man, I've made it this long. You know what? I'm going to start bringing my phone in the bathroom again. For so long, I haven't had it in the bathroom. You know what? I've made it this long. You know what? I can bring it in the bathroom again. And it happens slowly. And then one day it just switches, and that little thought turns into a little something else, and then a little something else. And then now you're right back where you started, and you wonder why. And it's because you come to a place of comfortability.
Wow.
Or in other terms, it may be pain, like you're talking about. Like you might be stressed out with the kids and the job, and your wife is this and that, and all the things are happening in the world, and all the things are just going on right now. You just need to get away, and you need to feel a break. Well, understand, when you're feeling those emotions in that moment, you're vulnerable. So the enemy looks at that and is like, oh yeah, that's the perfect time to strike, because I know that right now, more than anything, what his flesh is wanting is to feel something that can never be filled by anything external other than Jesus Christ. To which then in that moment, the enemy is like, you know what? Yeah, let me drop this thought into my, hey, Rob, listen.
Wow.
I know you know it's going to feel good right now. Rob, just go to the bathroom, dog.
Wow.
No, listen, just pour yourself a drink. You good.
We are in
deep right now.
We are in somebody's business right now. And I because I'm like, man, you are telling my whole story right now. And I know somebody else is feeling it. Like, bro, he's telling my story right now.
Because it's me, dog. Like, I've lived it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm thankful that God has shown me a lot. And I'm still growing today. I am. Yeah. You know, I'm still doing better and doing more for my life today. But understand, I've seen a lot in the years that I've struggled with pornography. Even as a teenager, even as someone that is coming into young adulthood, like, I get it, you know, and I understand how the enemy hides, how the enemy works, and how the enemy gets you in the places of vulnerability and tricks you into thinking or lying to yourself that you're all good. And you're not. Now, I'm not saying that you will forever be broken. That's not what I'm communicating. That's not what I'm projecting. What I am saying is it's a daily battle. But understand that it's a daily walk with Christ. It's a daily dying to your flesh to say, you know what? This is not the way that I'm going to live. Right. It's going to come up. Temptation is temptation. That's just what it is. So thoughts you'll have. But the problem and where you step into sin is through action. Okay. A thought can come across my mind. That's just going to be what it is. But it's what you do with that thought. Are you going to say, okay, nah, I'm not watching pornography. I don't need that for my life. Or you're gonna say, you know what? It really would feel good right now.
And it's not
And then
that
you
bad. I
act
mean, I'm
on
not
it.
really actually doing anything to hurt anybody.
Exactly.
I mean, they won't nobody know. I mean, I just slip away to another room, and it's like, come on, it'll only be 5 minutes, man. For sure. I mean, all that stuff used to cross my mind. Like I used to
Easy.
reason with every reason why it wasn't that bad. And the crazier part is I used to do that as a non-believer. So there was a shame that came where it wasn't even like, well, God's gonna watch me or see me. No, there was a shame and just like,
For sure.
this isn't right. I could feel it, but it wasn't like I was living to say, okay, I want to please you, God. I was just living to say, I feel a little shameful about it, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because it makes me feel better. And once again, I feel like I was always chasing the high of happiness. Like if it makes the world tells me if it makes me happy, then I should do it.
For sure.
And so I'm constantly chasing the high of happiness. It makes me happy for the moment. So get out of my way. Life's about being happy. And
But you will never, and this is the debate that I love getting into about happiness versus joy. Happiness is an emotion and it's a feeling. It comes and it goes, right? You can be happy one moment. At the moment something happens, you could just not be happy anymore. You can be sad, you can be angry, whatever it is, because it's an emotion, right? Joy is something different. Especially, we're talking about the true joy, the joy of the Lord, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And joy will show up in a situation where you're supposed to be overwhelmed, stressed, angry, mad, pissed, whatever you want to call it, and you feel this overwhelming sense of, you know what? God's got me, and I feel good right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't understand this. It's just kind of just overwhelming peace right now. But Lord, you know what? I'm thankful for where I'm at. I'm grateful, Father, for where you brought me to. And that is going to shock so many people when they see something like that. Because it's like, hey, the emotion that you're supposed to be expressing should be anger, should be sadness, should be everything but what you are looking and feeling like right now.
Sure. No, for sure.
But,
for sure.
And I understand the chase for happiness because you want to be happy, things that make you happy. But when you chase something that's an emotion that is wishy-washy, that can change in an instant, then you're going to set yourself up for a life of chasing things that is not going to be fulfilling.
No.
And true joy comes from Jesus Christ. So for any unbelievers that are watching this by chance or perhaps,
kick it to
I
me.
understand that maybe this God talk or like you were saying, like, oh, God's watching me. You may not feel any of those things, but there are things in your life that you are wanting to feel. There are things there are holes in your soul that you're wanting to fill. So you fill them with things that you know best to fill them with. Things that are in society, things that are normal, things that other people do. Like, don't listen to us, talk Christianese and like, oh, well, you got to find God. Like, I'm just saying, like, everyone has spaces in their life where there are holes. And the only person that can fill those holes, the only person that can truly bring you fulfillment is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can live true life.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Hey, look, bro. Hey, couldn't have said it better myself. For sure. And I'm one of those people who recently was in somebody's comments saying, bro, I get it. All these motivational videos out here telling you like this and that. And bro, listen to me. The number one thing you could ever do if you're truly chasing happiness is put God in your life. And I promise you, he will put you on the road to chasing things that you didn't even know would be your heart's desires when you align with his. It completely changed my chase. It completely changed my life. And I can look back on a lot of that stuff. I even still got some of that stuff. And I'm just like, I never forget, I used to tell people, you can come and pick this stuff up. You can come and take it, because I thought it would bring me all the happiness in the world. And it just kept driving me to an empty pit of feeling like I couldn't fill that hole, but that hole was never supposed to be filled with that stuff. And it took me having to get all of it just to realize that. So, nah, that's good, bro. That's good. Well, I'm going to pivot this conversation, as good as it is, to like just something I was thinking about when we first got started, of that, like, it's so crazy that your birthday is on Father's Day. You're celebrating a day of one day I'm fully believing, if it, I'm putting it out there, that one day you are going to be a great father. Because I've seen how you have been in the lives of a lot of the youth that have surrounded us, and I know that I know a little bit about your upbringing when it comes to like just past conversations and episodes we've had. But what is that like, having your birthday be on a day that we celebrate fathers, and how does that celebration look when it comes to your own earthly father?
What did I say? So it's not even that my birthday this particular year was on Father's Day, because there's a lot of birthdays that come on Father's Day. But I was actually born on Father's Day.
Right.
So being born on Father's Day, my dad would always tell me, he was like, you were always the greatest Father's Day gift I ever had received. And I'm like, oh, in the moment, when I was a kid, I was like, oh my goodness, great. Like, it sounds so cool. Like, I was born on Father's Day. Like, my dad, it was a great gift. Wow.
Right.
And it just wasn't up until recently, and within the last 2 years, like, unfortunately, my dad passed away a couple years ago. And so within the last couple years, I've been really processing through that, but also looking at, like, what are the ways that I'm feeling? How am I living my life right now? What is my relationship with God? How does that what does that look like? What does this mean? And how does my dad feel in all this stuff? And actually unpacking this stuff. And it wasn't until the other day I knew, like, all right, my birthday's on Father's Day. Cool. But I was reminded of that when my dad used to tell me that I was the greatest Father's Day gift he's ever received. And I'm like, man, that's wonderful. But if I was the greatest gift you've ever received, why didn't you do all that you could do to show me the way? Why didn't you do all you could do to be present in every moment? And it just felt like I was little 5-year-old, little baby Key, just wondering, like, man, like, what is it that you just did not choose to do to be that in my life, to be a father? Now, my dad, shout out to my dad. Like, he wasn't a deadbeat dad. Like, he was there. Like, my mom and dad never married, so it wasn't like that he was absent or an absentee. But there were just things that he did. There were things that the way that he lived his life, that I look back at now, and it just wasn't enough. Or at least what I believe should have been enough for a father doing for his son.
Yeah.
And so, to answer your question about Father's Day and my birthday falling on the day, this year, in relation to my father, like this year, my birthday being today on Father's Day, like, it's a little bit tougher because it honestly doesn't feel like it means much to me. That gift that I once believed, like, man, like, I was my dad's greatest Father's Day gift. Today, I really do not feel much like that.
Yeah, no.
Or even the thought of that doesn't really make me.
Yeah, no, I can
happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if that sounds. I guess
No. I definitely understand where you're coming from, and even if I were to even reframe it to say, like, when you were the greatest gift ever given to another person, but you didn't feel, you felt like, almost like how a lot of dads look at ties when they get them for Father's Day, and we're like, oh, another tie. Thank you. I'll wear it one day, as we put it into the back of our closets. It almost felt like a gift that was celebrated initially, but it was like you started to feel like what I expected you to do with this tie and what you actually did with the tie were two different things. And my expectations were that if I'm the greatest, and this is, I guess sometimes we can associate great, like, if I'm the greatest gift, then, man, like, you should treasure this. You should walk around with it. You should keep it protected. You should provide for it. You should always be around it to be, and that's how we look at greatest. Like
I had answers to all the questions that I have come up with over the years, about my dad, about the things that he didn't teach me, about the things that he didn't ask me, about the things that he didn't impart to me, so on, so on, so forth. Because I've already put in my mind an answer to those questions. And I've let them be that. And unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of asking him that because he's passed on. But had I heard the answers to those questions, whether they be justifiable or not, it's a hard thing, and it's something to fear, especially because it's unknown.
Yeah.
We're not scared, or we don't fear things that we do know. We fear things that we don't know.
Sure.
Right. And so that space where you're like, you know what, my dad didn't show up to any of my football games or basketball games, any of my games. I want to know why, but I'm fearful because I don't know why. Because of what it might communicate to me about how he wasn't that great.
Yep.
Because he could say something to me like, man, like, I've been working the entire time and trying to put food on the table. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I get it. But if you really look down, deep down, and if he were to look within himself to actually answer that question at that particular time, I don't know what it is because I'm not your dad, but if you were to really look down, and it could be anything, but if it was on the side of like, I just didn't try, I just didn't do enough, what does that communicate to you today?
Yep. And I sit here and I'm like, man, we're both in two different situations where, I could ask my dad today, be a weird conversation on Father's Day.
No, yeah.
But I also recognize if I was in your shoes and I didn't have that, what do I do with all of this? And I think that's one of the biggest things that as I've gone through therapy, as I continue to go through therapy, I sit here and I'm like, God, there's so much that I'm going to have to surrender to you and let you fill the blanks. Let you put the worth back in. Let you put the pieces that have been broken and the parts of me and parts of my heart that have turned to stone, turn it to flesh, because I've become so hard, so bitter, so resentful because of things and the way I've lived my life, because I felt like if they didn't put the value in me, then why should I? And so, man.
No, it's real. And even for today, to answer those questions, for me, because, now that my dad's passed on, like, I have someone in my life, because everyone needs a father.
For sure.
First of all, everyone has a father, our Heavenly Father.
Yes.
Right? There's that. So recognize that He's our perfect Father. Secondhand, our earthly fathers, whether they be great or whether they be absolutely terrible, we all have a father here. And whether yours is passed on or whether yours is gone, you never met him, everyone needs a father figure in their life, and more specifically a spiritual father. So currently my spiritual father is Will Wilson Jr. That is the person I consider to be my dad. And if anybody asks me, like, I will say, like, oh no, like, I'm doing this for my dad, or I'm doing this with my dad. Like, that's how I refer to him.
No,
and it's not as a replacement of my earthly of my biological father,
right?
But to answer those questions that I've wondered about my dad for so long, that I fill in a blank, I'm actually living those stuff up now.
Yeah,
I ask myself, why did my dad teach me how to shave?
Yeah.
And just recently, for 21 years of my life, I never shaved. Nothing, like no shaving cream, no razor, nothing.
Right.
I used clippers. And literally, like maybe within the last few months, Will showed me how to shave.
Sheesh.
He did what my dad should have done years ago when I was a 13-year-old boy and I just grown facial hair, right? And so I don't continue to ask the question of, like, you know what? Like, what if why didn't my dad teach me how to shave? It's more of like, you know what? I'm grateful to God that, that someone in my life to teach me how to shave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that's not, it's different for everyone. It looks different for everyone.
No, hey, look, I don't, okay, go ahead.
No, it looks different for everyone, especially if you still have your dad in your life and stuff like that. It's not just if you have, passed on, fathers, but someone that you actively recognize in your life, because the role of a father is to assume responsibility for the son.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So
for
if you
sure.
do not have someone in your life that is assuming responsibility for you, that is an indication that you need a father in your life.
Yeah.
Whether your father is still living or not.
Yeah.
There should be someone that is over your life that is taking care of your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
One person that is caring for your legacy and that assumes responsibility for you as a son or as a
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah. And you know what? I would go as far as saying that, and I don't know for sure, but I'm going to throw it out there. I believe that that was a prayer of yours at one time. God, bring my dad back into my life. God, bring my dad back into my space to be the dad I need him to be. And I know that was a prayer of mine. And it was funny because it was a prayer I thought that God had just. I even wrote an excuse for God and was like, maybe that's just too hard for God. Maybe he's fighting with my dad to be that dad, and my dad's fighting back. And so I made up a story. I made these stories up, and I had let it go. And in 2022, God brought a dad into my life that I didn't think I needed, but I needed so much, bro. And it came on the other end of emptying out all of my shame to him. Like I told him everything I had messed up and done, how I had just ruined my family, how I'd sabotaged my life, how I had made so many bad mistakes, how I'd hurt so many people. And what I expected, based on the stories I had written, was that this guy would be like, dang, bro, you did mess it up, man. No wonder your dad ain't really in your life, man. Or dang, bro, or I'll be praying for you, man. Or like whatever, like just kind of like hand me back over after like just and this guy named Early, like as in early morning, Early Boykins Jr. He told me in that moment, he was like, you know what? I'm proud of you and I love you. And bro,
yeah,
like bro, that jacked me up,
it'll
man.
rock
Like it I didn't expect that. I'd always wanted that. But I didn't expect that. I had always wanted to hear my dad tell me he was proud of me, and no matter what, he loved me. No matter whether I accomplished all the things I had done to get his attention, I'd always wanted to hear that. And to hear that from a man who wasn't my biological dad, it was just like, it was like that. It was like my heavenly father, my heavenly daddy, had answered a prayer that I had just been like, whatever. That's going to be a prayer that's never going to be answered. To bring a man into my life, to even though he's in his old age, he wants to do things like play football, throw a football, and go to games. And we just recently went to a men's breakfast, together. And it's funny because like at different events and different men's retreats and stuff, or at the men's retreat I go to, the Outpost, I normally introduce him to people as my dad.
Yeah.
But then they hear the story of my dad and they're sitting there like, this is awkward. Like, is that him?
For sure.
And a lot of people don't know that, like, no, this is the daddy that God gave me, not to replace my dad, but to stand in the gap for my dad.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, to stand in the gap
stand
for
in
my
the gap.
dad, and to be there for me in moments where I need somebody to begin to put pieces back into me, to reaffirm me, to let me know who I am in God's eyes. Why?
Sure.
Not because he just sees me, because he speaks to God and God speaks through him to let me know who I am. And so, bro, that was like you.
It'll
That
wreck
was,
you, dog, for real.
Yeah.
Like, and that's when we were first having these conversations between like Will and I, like he would tell me that he's like, I'm not replacing your dad. He said, but I will stand in the gap though. And I'm like, at the time I was like, oh man, like, it's great, amazing. But it wasn't until the first time he told me he was proud of me. And I didn't know how to handle that emotion because I've heard my dad faintly maybe said he's proud of me for this or that, but it never really meant much to me. But coming from someone that I can honestly see and feel like, no, this person like actually loves me as a son. It shows responsibility for me. And they told me that they're proud of me. Oh, it wrecked me. Same way.
Yeah.
It wrecked me. He even told me that yesterday. He said, yes, he said that today.
Yeah.
For my birthday.
Yeah.
Right? He sent me a birthday text and he was just like, hey, he was like, happy birthday. He said, I love you, son. And like, you know, and so he was proud of me. And I was like, oh man, like,
yeah,
I don't know how to feel right now because for so long I haven't felt this emotion.
Yeah.
Coming from, I've never felt, and I holistically say, like, just the relationship that I have with Will and how I consider to be my pops. Like, it's the first time I ever felt in my life, and there's no disrespect to my biological father or anything like that. I love my dad for sure. But this is the first time I actually felt like a son. This is the first time in life that I actually feel like a son to someone outside of my mama.
Wow.
With my mom, I felt like a son, 100% all the time because I've always been with my mom. But for my dad, with my biological father, like I would talk to him on the phone, I would see him from time to time, and I knew I was his son, but I never really felt like his son.
You're right.
But with Will, oh man, I feel like his son. I feel like I'm his own kid.
Sheesh.
And that's a redemption only come from by God.
Yeah.
To put him in my life 40 some years ago, and then now is really up and current in my life as my father, as my spiritual father. But in reality, the way that I view him, the way I live my life is as if he's my dad.
No, I love that, man. I love that. Man, I didn't know we had such similar stories. This is kind of crazy. We've been sitting beside each other for a long time and just doing episodes since the beginning of this podcast, bro. And that's deep, bro. And I know there's probably some people listening where it's like, bro, I want that. And like I said, I truly believe that God's desires for you don't just, what you desire from God doesn't just go away and fade or evaporate just because God hasn't answered it in your timing. I would tell you that know that God is not one who's unfaithful in your life, and know that I truly believe that a lot of what I really needed came at the tail end of me surrendering what I thought I needed to band-aid that gaping wound that was left there by so many people. And so I you know, if there's, I don't know, I would say if I could just say anything out of all that we've even spoke about here, is that I truly believe that what we need and what will feel the hurt, the pain, the holes, the emptiness is surrendering everything we thought we needed, everything we've compiled and put around us and built so we can keep off the pain and the hurt that we felt in the past. When we surrender that stuff and in a way just like tear down the wall that we built up, tear down those walls that are there to keep us safe, tear them down brick by brick, and hand each brick to God and say, God, I put that there because I didn't trust you. I didn't trust anybody. I believe he begins to bring things into our lives because there's nothing that's trying to keep them out. And we don't have to protect ourselves anymore from what we're worried will happen, knowing that what he's bringing into our life, it comes with provision that he wants to provide for us, and it comes with protection of what he's going to do in our lives. And so
it's good.
Yeah, bro, this is good, man. Sheesh, man. God, we went down in there today, man. You didn't turn this into my therapy. Let me go ahead and call my therapist up. Look, hey, we can cancel the rest of this week, this upcoming week. Just go ahead and just put me on to the next week. You know, I'm good. I think I just got it taken care of. But no, this was good, bro. And I appreciate you, man. Absolutely. And happy birthday, man. I think I appreciate it. I think truly what has come out of this birthday is not only just another year of age, but bro, just you continuously, as I see you continue to surrender to what God wants to do in your life by doing things that to some people sounds crazy, but I'm proud of you. More importantly, I hope that you're proud of you, regardless of how many of us are proud of you. I hope that you're proud of you, because the person you were, even a year or two ago when you sat down with me, and the person you are now has just grown tremendously, bro. Just in wisdom, just in submitting yourself, surrendering certain things, and just growing, bro. I mean, like, this is the same dude who I think we talked when I was going through a separation, divorce. And you were just like, yeah, you know, I mean, we was both in a way kind of just like, yeah, I don't know if this marriage stuff is for us, but like, look at us, bro. We both look at us. Yeah. Look at us. Like, do you remember that? Like I think we were at the gym at up in Indian land, and we were just kind of like just being vulnerable about things we were seeing. And I remember it was like, yo, is that your girlfriend? I mean, yeah. And it's like, look at us now, bro. There's been a lot of growth, and I think that's the beauty of just being in this community together. We've grown together.
Yeah, that was in the season that my wife and I at the time we were broken up. So yeah, you know, it was a little bit like, I don't know, man. I don't talk about it. No, but no, to see where we are today, you know, just over the years, you know what I'm saying, and just your growth, and I'm like over the moon just about where you are for you and Amber, like in rededicating yourselves to each other and having a rededication ceremony, all that stuff, just because of the impact that y'all have had on my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and if y'all don't know, like me, you know, being a youth director, like, you know, Rob's one of the leaders, like, for middle school boys. But it kind of changed at one point, and you stopped becoming a middle school boys leader to me in terms of how I saw you. And Jenny was like, no, that's went into being like, oh, I consider him a friend of mine. But then really considered him to be like a brother. And then finally it got to this place where I was like, no, they're family to me. Like, you know, the more family is family to me. And I'm very thankful just for your words, your encouragement, your prayers. But most definitely just relationship, man. Yeah. Like, I don't sit here today just because it's cool to do a podcast. Like, I love podcasts. I love communicating. But more than that, I just love having a conversation with you, bro. Like, yeah. So, you know, we've gone through a lot. We've seen a lot of each other. But sitting here today, I'm like, I can confidently say I'm proud of myself. And the reason I can say that is because God's done a lot in my life. I mean, I've grew up in a youth ministry and then went to intern and also work for one of the biggest churches in America. And now I'm about to go plant and support planting a church in Austin, Texas at 22 years old. I'm married, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of that. And even for you, I'm like, where you're at in your life and where your kids are at and where your wife is at. I'm sure, and that's up to you to say, but I can say, man, I'm proud of you, dog. Like,
I would tell you, it's great to know that there are people that are proud of you, but if you haven't gotten to the place where you are proud of you, where you can affirm you, even if not another person ever tells you they're proud of you, I think that's where the growth really begins to happen, because you see the results. You're not just waiting on other people to see the results and say, proud of you. So knowing that there are days where nobody may say it, but when I even know my Heavenly Father is proud of me, bro, it's a whole different ballgame. Look, that changes it all too, because that right there is enough for me, because I know that I am walking in His light. I'm walking trying to be the best reflection of Him, and I desire to be more like Him. And I believe every time I do something, I've made Him proud, and that in turn makes me proud.
For sure.
So, yeah.
It's good.
Nah, this has been good, bro.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, man. Gonna miss you, bro. I know this won't be the last one we do, even if I got to do a remote one with you.
No, it's all right.
But no.
You can just fly me out next time. You know, as you grow, and at some point you'll get at some point you'll get a budget.
You're right. No, you're right, bro. So, like, speak it into existence. Tell them about it, bro. It's coming.
I believe in faith. This will grow 100%. This will grow into something you never thought nor imagined. on top of that, right, when you get to that place, then you'll have the luxury of being able to fly people out, like fly guests out. Like,
I look
yo,
forward to
hey
it.
man, I would love for you to be on the pod. Like,
Love.
I'm gonna come fly you out. And then
Facts.
I just might happen to be one of those people.
Facts. Yeah. No. Well, bro, before we get out of here, man, I really feel like we just hit on so much there. I feel like anybody who listened to this episode all the way through has just gotten such a rich conversation. And I pray that it doesn't just fall on, I pray it doesn't fall on hard ground, bad soil. I pray that, if you felt anything in this conversation, I pray that you don't just ignore it. I pray that they don't just kind of like just say whatever, because I feel like it really truly spoke to me for sure. But I pray if it spoke to anybody else, I pray, you pray about it, you think about it, you take it to therapy with you, you start therapy, you take it to God, you find a community. I mean, I think we've hit on so many things.
For sure.
But before we get out of here, man, why don't you share with everybody how they can tap in with you? I know you'll be moving to Florida, and maybe there'll be some people that are listening to be like, yo, I'd love to like connect with this guy, man, and just see what his ministry is going to be doing in Florida. That's the other hot place, Texas.
I don't know what Rob was talking about. I was going to keep going.
I was sending you to Florida. But no, Texas, though.
No,
for anybody
sure.
in the Texas area, my brother's coming down there. And, man, I know that he could definitely, as they grow into that Texas area, I know that he's going to be looking to bridge with a new community of people there and stuff. So definitely let them know how they can connect with you.
No, absolutely. And not to do like one of those like plugs, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but like very much like the church is called House of Light Austin, and so we'll probably start services in January, but more so like in terms of like connecting with me, like my Instagram is Kecion Jones, and I love having conversations. I love talking about things that we go through in our life and experiences, and it's a great venture that I'm about to start and helping plant and support this church. And so if you're in the Austin area, definitely come out. I would love to grab some coffee. I'd love to grab some lunch and we could talk. But 100%, it's a life worth living whenever you are ears open to hearing other people's stories.
Yeah, no. So
and
true.
You make that decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna spend some quality time being able to live in the stories that you have lived in your whole life, and that's something I enjoy in my life. That's something I strive to do in my life, is to live in the stories that other people have lived. And so, be in Austin, Texas. So, hit me up. You know what I mean? I'm pretty open. So
yeah, a really good guy to know. Really good guy to know. Him and the others will be with him. Definitely a great family to get to know. Definitely a great family that you will be hearing more about. They will be doing things, shaking things up, and I'm just excited to be able to sit back and just watch what you guys are going to do, man. It's going to be truly incredible. So, with that said, hey, we appreciate you guys for listening today. We thank you guys for coming and sitting with us and just enjoying every part of this episode. Like I said, I hope that it truly made you think about some things and hopefully encouraged you and just spoke to you in your life. So thank you for listening. Another great episode, as they all are. And I want to leave you guys with another great reminder from my friend and my great brother, the late, great Chad Height III of the Rabbit Hole Show, if you've ever listened. We all have a story. We all have struggles. But the good news is that you're not alone. All right? Be blessed, guys.
And that wraps up another episode of God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm Justin Moore, and we want to give a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in and being part of our community. Your support means the world to us, and we hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. If what you heard resonated with you, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on today's video. It really helps us reach more listeners like you. Don't forget to connect with us on social media at God's Glory and Men's Real Stories for updates, new episode clips, and to share your thoughts on today's episode. We love hearing from you. If this conversation happened to shed a light on past experiences of yours that may have been happy moments or maybe hurtful moments, feel free to keep the conversation going in the comments below, so as a community we can listen, pray with you, or point you to helpful resources. Join us next time for another great episode, and until then, let's give God the glory for all He's doing in our stories.